Hi there, my name is Amy. I'm a personal coach for the Brady Group. And I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things today. We often hear from dentists and dental teams that there are two things they're looking for. And one is, how can we get more new patients? What's the best marketing out there, the best return on investment? And the second question they often ask, almost in the same breath, is how can we improve case acceptance? Well, if you think about this and think about it logically, what if you were to improve case acceptance? Would you really need more new patients? See, the interesting thing is we get to work with all kinds of dentists in all types of practices, large, small, different parts of the country, even the world. And I will see one practice that thrives on 4 to 6 new patients a month, and then I see another practice that receives 60, 70 new patients a month and wants more. And so my question to you, again, this is twofold, is could the back door be open? And what I mean by that is will you ever have enough new patients? I mean, will you ever get to the point where the number of new patients you actually have is enough? So we'll talk about both of these components. First of all, I'd like to ask you, is your house ready to receive guests? In other words, if we were to help you generate more new patients and they were to show up, what would that look like? Are your systems in place in a way that you could make the most of those opportunities? And most of the time when we ask that question, the folks that we ask say, well, no, I'm not really sure that we are prepared. And so, that's really the first area you want to focus on. In fact, when we do that and we help practices in this realm, they often find that once they get the right systems in place, that the number of new patients they are generating is enough. In fact, sometimes they find it may be a little bit too much, if you can imagine. And so how do you get your house in order? What do you need to do? Well, the first thing is have the proper systems. Have a scheduling system in place that is effective, that is profitable, not just filling white space, but have a system set up to where you can receive new patients within a few days. I spoke with a practice the other day that was interested in our coaching program, and they said, well, we don't have enough new patients. And my question to them was, if I were to call as a new patient today, when could you see me? What's the first available appointment? And it was actually about 6 weeks away. And so there's a scheduling problem, okay? Because new patients want to come in today. They want to come in within the next few days. And so if we have our schedule clogged up with other things and we aren't blocking new patient slots, especially for that experience, it's going to be tough. And so we've got to look at that as well. Scheduling is one issue. The other thing is, what is their experience when they call in your office? How many new patients that call actually schedule? I will tell you, most dentists don't have that answer. And so I would begin to track that. I would begin to ask your team to track every single new patient call that comes in. If you're not already recording those, if you don't have a means to track those, I would suggest that you do so. Because oftentimes we'll find even a change at the front desk can drastically change the number of new patients that are coming through the door, either good or bad. And so that's another area to look at. Are we making it easy for them to come in? Or are we throwing up obstacles that are making it very difficult for a patient to be a part of our office? And so, again, making sure that your systems are in place, get them in quickly, and don't have any obstacles that make it difficult for them to be a patient. The other thing is focusing on not only the new patient experience, but what about the existing patient experience? We fall all over ourselves, hopefully, to make sure that when a new patient comes in that they have a great experience. But oftentimes in this transient world that we live in, if there's not something just dramatically incredible from that patient's standpoint, they're probably going to move on. If you're doing marketing, things like Groupon or direct mail pieces with offers, unfortunately, the offer seekers or offer hoppers just aren't the ones that are going to stay in your practice and be very loyal long term. Some of them will. Some of them will have such a great experience that they don't feel the need to jump to the next offer. But most find that when you spend money on external marketing, your actual return on investment per patient is much lower than it is in a referral-based practice. Which kind of leads me to the next thing that I know is a real hot button among most dentists is how do we get more new patients? Well, first of all, like we spoke about, get your house in order, have the proper systems. I could talk all day on systems, but I think first of all, make sure that it's easy for them to get in, no more than a week. If within 3 or 4 days, that's even better. And the way that you do that is figure out how many new patients you'd like to see in a week and then block accordingly. Just block that time off in your schedule and don't put anything else there. Okay, make sure that you have the proper systems in place. I would love to send you a free podcast that we did here not too long ago on what we call telephone magic, which is how to get them through the door. And so feel free to email me at amy@bradygroupllc.com, and I will make sure that you get that free podcast. Again, it's amy@bradygroupllc.com. And so, that's the first thing is we've got to get them through the door. We've got to make it easy for them to come in and get them in very, very quickly. Now, as far as marketing and what type of marketing provides the best return on investment, well, sometimes it's easier for a dentist to just simply write a check. And, they will come. And yes, they probably will. Although I did talk with a doctor in DC here this morning, and she recently spent about $6,000 on 15,000 postcards back the first part of September and saw nothing. And so that just gives you a, pit in your stomach that doesn't feel very good. But you know what? Internal marketing is very, very inexpensive, relatively speaking. And so what are you doing to tap into your patients of, circles of influence? Are you asking for referrals? I don't know about you, but that is probably the most awkward, uncomfortable thing I've ever had to do. And so let's make it easy. Make it part of the conversation that you are already having. You're already talking to your patients about their families, about the people they work with, about their brother-in-law. You're already having these conversations. So why not say, why don't we see your husband? Who do you know at work that could benefit from what Dr. Brady does? We'd love to see them. In fact, let me write this little offer on the back of my business card here, and we'll do that especially for them. Make it a part of your normal conversation. Social media, everybody has mixed feelings about that, but the reality is social media is a free way to allow you to stay on your patient's radar. And so if you're active in social media, and I don't mean just, posting a quote of the day or dental information, I mean being really active in engaging in your patients' lives, doing fun things in your practice that people want to be a part of. I saw a really fun one the other day that received more likes and comments and shares than any I've seen in a long time, and that was a paper airplane throwing contest that a team had. And boy, they had a lot of fun with that, had a lot of patient comments. Social media ROI is difficult to measure, but the reality is you are staying on your patient's radar. And so when they have the opportunity to refer, you're going to be right here. The other thing is you are automatically, by default, tapping into your patient's circles of influence. And so be sure that you are aware of that and growing that like base. There are all kinds of things you can do via social media, and that could be a whole nother seminar. If you would like, again, some information on that or to get more details, feel free to email me again at amy@bradygroupllc.com, and I'd love to share that with you. The other thing we've got to remember is we're in a relationship-based business. We're not in dentistry. We are in a relationship-based business. And so what are you doing sincerely to further those relationships? Are you genuinely interested in your patients, and can they feel that? Or are you too intent on sharing your knowledge and your accolades and everything about you? And so, understand that really your patient ought to be the one that has the opportunity to share and talk and engage. And I can promise you that when you get in that type of a relationship where they aren't dependent upon you to tell them what's wrong and give them a solution, and then become dependent upon their insurance as to whether or not they're going to do the treatment, when you can get out of that dependent stage and you can get into what we're going to call an interdependent stage, which means the relationship is built, you've given the patient the dignity of sharing with you what's really important to them and what they want to accomplish, and then you've earned the right to give a solution, it's amazing what can happen. Amazing what can happen. And so I would love to share more with you. Again, feel free. My email address is amy@bradygroupllc.com. And if you'd like to have a conversation at some point about the connection between what's the best way to get new patients and your case acceptance, I would love to visit with you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.